Take it away.
Hey, North of Warfers. Today, we are sitting down with Jay Kasten. He has worked for a variety of departments in the entertainment world, including production assistant, script coordinator, and writer. He has provided scripts and continuity for both Bob's Burgers and The Great North. He has also worked on live television and shows such as Mixology and Army Wives. Join us, drumroll, to welcome the great Jay Kasten.
Hey!
Finally got him. With his party posse hat.
Yes.
The very first thing, I think this was in the first run of Toddland.
Yep.
Stuff, and it's so awesome.
We
I really thought we should get. I think I talked to him at Comic-Con last. I was like, we need this to be Velcro.
That's what we told him too.
Swap out badges. Because...
Yeah, we were thinking it'd be cool if it was Velcro. You just peeled it off and put new ones on.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a dry erase. Hang on, just as we start, my wife texts me a question.
Yeah, for sure.
No questions. We will be the ones asking the questions.
Tell her to send it in the chat. We'll do that there.
Okay, I'm here.
All right, JB, give it a quick little pause and then jump into it.
All right. So getting started, Jay, we like to start with a real softball question here. Something that anyone can answer. But where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
Okay, softball for some. But this is a long story. No, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm the youngest of 4 kids and grew up in like a suburb outside Atlanta, went to Jewish day school, and had enough of that by high school. So I went to like a super left liberal artsy high school called Paideia, which I loved. Like but it was weird. And I recognized that it was weird. You didn't have to wear shoes. I took a class, like there was a rock climbing, like every half a semester we get to like pick from a whole new curriculum of classes. That's like history of rock and roll, rock climbing, 3D modeling, which is really cool. But
that's cool.
Like,
that's cool.
Very cool. I wish I still had the little the little animation I made. And I then I went to college in University of Maryland, and then I came out here. That was really hard.
Okay, so you grew up in Atlanta. This is just a quick side. We don't have to dive too deep into it. But you're a Dodgers fan?
Yes, but when I was in Atlanta, I was a Braves fan. I was a Braves, Hawks, Thrashers fan all the way.
But the fandom never leaves, even though you move.
The fandom leaves when you move. I moved to Maryland.
You just crushed
I moved to Maryland and went to, and then I was a Nationals fan.
Hell yes, sir.
Yeah. And then
that's all he was looking for. That's all he wanted.
And then I came to LA, and I mean, the Dodgers are their own special thing. Okay, wait. So are you a Braves fan?
No, I'm a Nationals fan. I used to live
got it.
He's a Nationals
I used to live in Northern Virginia. And
that's why he's like
never leaves.
No, that's fair. I mean, when I was there, I don't think they have it anymore, but there was the best baseball pretzel was at Nationals Park.
I'm gonna say it's still there.
Noah's or something, and it was like a great charity because it was like all the proceeds went to kids with autism, and the pretzel was like a curly W.
Of course.
Yeah.
They're kind of shying away from curly W these days, but
that's what I have to say about the Nationals. And go Dodgers.
Well, you don't want to relive 2019 with me?
No. No.
Fair enough.
I was in LA by then.
No, we're on our own thing. We have our own trajectory.
Yeah.
It's all right. So as a kid growing up, did you have a favorite cartoon that you would always like tune in to watch? Or?
Yes. I was a big Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff. Cartoon. Like whenever it started.
Cow and Chicken.
Whenever it started. Honestly, Cow and Chicken used to freak me out, but I liked it. It was like cow and chicken.
It freaked me out until probably 5 or 6 episodes in. And then I was like, okay, this is just kind of what it is. It's like Ren and Stimpy light.
It's so interesting thinking about like how I watch TV now and how like I probably have seen every single episode of Rugrats. Rugrats was like my real.
Rugrats is an amazing
But like, it's
show.
not like I watched them like, oh, there's a new Rugrats on tonight. You know, it was just like I would turn the TV on and Rugrats would be on, which was how it was.
Nick,
I recently saw a compilation little clip, Instagram reel or something, that showed Stu, the dad from Rugrats, and how we're all just now realizing, oh no, he was just depressed.
Oh my god, I think I saw that.
Oh no, it's a parenting thing.
I was like, no.
Yeah.
It's a parenting thing too. What are you doing making chocolate pudding? But it's 4 a.m. I've lost all control.
Oh, shit.
I mean, Angelica was
dude, it's real.
No joke.
Yes.
I also saw.
So
I don't know if
real.
you guys follow Pen to Paper Studio. They had like a clip on the fan episode. They made a little crocheted her doll. I forget Angelica's doll.
Oh,
Cynthia. They made like a little crocheted Cynthia, and I was really cute.
Yeah.
And then honestly, just to continue on cartoons, like I remember when I was a kid, my dad like having a moment with me. Like I remember his hand on my shoulder and him telling me that pretty soon there's going to be a whole channel just cartoons.
Yeah.
And it's going to be called Cartoon Network. And I was like,
wow,
that rocks. And then I turned it on and it was like Looney Tunes. And I was like, no, no, I don't want this. I want cartoons. So once that kicked off, like Ed, Edd n Eddy, Powerpuff Girls, Dexter, like all that stuff. Anything Craig McCracken touched, I was into.
Yeah.
And then in like late high school, college, I feel like I maybe almost took then SpongeBob took over.
Of course.
As it does. And Fairly Odd Parents. And then it was like and then I started watching Avatar and Gravity Falls. I watched like an adulthood. My dog is named Dipper.
Nice.
And so making me realize is like cartoons have always been a big part of my life.
And that's what we're here to do. Jake,
all right,
this is your life. Your copay will be $40.
That's all I needed.
Just consider this your therapy.
You reaffirmed my love for cartoons. Good day.
So with your love of cartoons, looking back now, do you see any connection between like what you watched and how it kind of influenced you, like maybe even to this day?
Definitely. I think so. When I was a young warthog, when I was a kid coming out, in high school, even before high school, like middle school, once I got my hand on a camera and editing software, I got really into like video editing. And then so much so that I came out here originally in 2012 to be in post-production. Like I wanted to be an editor. And I think something I really loved about editing is the control of the control. No, I like the control of the timing. And I think it comes from, there's like a real sense of humor in timing. So it's like, the right cut at the right time makes a whole difference in everything.
Yeah. It really does.
And I think I saw that very clearly in cartoons. I mean, in animation, it's all about timing. And now I realize it's about like budgeting timing, right? It's like, how much can we afford to let this scene go and where can we cut it to make the joke the best? And so I think growing up watching animation, like definitely informed my sense of timing, which I say I carried into editing, and then writing, I feel like is an extension of edit. Like it's using the same puzzly part of my brain to write a really a really good script, which is the only kind I write. It's the same thing as like cutting up clips on a track.
I love that you said that because it's something similar to what I
right.
Oh, 100%. But also, like, whenever I ask a question, it says, "Oh, that's a good question." It's like it's the only kind I ask.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. What'd you expect?
Would I ask anything less?
You know what? This interview's over.
So, in your opinion, how long does it take before awkward silence goes from awkward to funny to too long? Because that's a very fine line.
I think once you hit too long, you're back at funny again. If it's with the right setup.
Mm-hmm.
The distance between correctly timed and too long, improperly timed, is very quick.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I never have understood, Saturday Night Live would be a lot funnier if they understood when to cut the camera. It is always lingering on the last line. They're writing that last line to close out the scene. And I'm not a Saturday Night Live hater. Like, I don't watch it regularly, but it comes up, you know, it comes up on my feed and YouTube and all that stuff. And I'll watch the stuff. And there's a lot of really funny stuff there a lot of the time. But it's like, what was that last line? Like, cut it one line ago. What are you doing? Why are we lingering here?
It feels like they have to linger, like, oh, did you get the joke? Because we're not moving until you laugh.
Yeah, it's almost like they don't trust the audience that they got it.
Yeah, and it's like, no, that kills the whole, all the energy. It's just gone.
It does, because then it's like it's an awkward pause where there's like, what are they doing now? Like, I already got it. Now we're just sitting here. Let's move on.
Yeah, and I will say too that it's something I've had to get really comfortable with. Is I feel like I can get really nitpicky in that sense, in terms of when I'm like now on the other side of an edit and I'm watching, like, you know, I'm working with professional editors, and there's just like watching people post stuff on their Instagram. I get very judgmental about, like, oh, you really should have cut here.
Uh-oh. We're sorry, okay? We're trying.
Not you guys. You guys are nailing it.
We just repost what you all did, so that's on you.
You just cut everything I just said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't believe it. I don't believe you.
So at what point did you start exploring your own creative side? I mean, obviously we all love watching cartoons, but
yeah.
Was it during the Barefoot School days? Was there a theater
It was very early.
It
was definitely theater. I started in theater. I think I realized, like, way too late in life how making people laugh, making myself laugh, making people laugh was, like, very important to my soul. And I grew up in, like, a very funny house. Like, everybody in my family is very funny, and I made it my mission to be the funniest. But I would I was in, like, middle school plays. I was Fagin in Oliver in 7th grade. I can send you the video.
You could just give us a performance right now if you'd like.
I'm reviewing the situation. Are you gonna get claimed?
Who knows? Who cares? Nobody watches this.
Yeah, Dickens is coming for you. So I was performing a lot, and I was also doing a lot of, like, clay. Like, I would do a lot of Sculpey, or, like, Fimo.
Yeah, I used to do that as a kid.
Oh my gosh, I like got a Klutz Sculpey book that, like, you know, came with all the little blocks of clay and, like, little, like, recipes and instructions on how to make different shapes.
Did you have a little tool set too to make all those things?
I had a little bit, but it was all just, like, kneading and rolling with my hands. My family still has a set of the 10 plagues for Passover that I made when I was, like, 11.
Oh wow!
And it's like each of them is, like, illustrated in this little, like, cartoony claymation way, and my parents bring it out every Passover still and, like, pass them around. And it's funny because, like, Sculpey's not marble. Like, it's not made to survive this long.
I was gonna say it's very durable if it's still.
But it's funny. She's got it. My
amazing,
mom's got it in like a
actually.
little box, and she knows where it is every year, and it always comes out. So I was always doing a lot of that. I was doing a lot of acting, and then in middle school, high school, I think in middle school I got my first camera, and so I started making videos with my friend, and we like had a whole series of. I think I was about to say a whole series of stupid videos. It was literally called "Stupid Things" was the name of the show.
Of course,
yeah. And we would, and so it was like, let me film this. I don't think I was even editing. It was like in-camera editing. And then high school, I started doing improv, and that became everything for me because I was like really starting to have trouble with, not exactly stage fright, but being on stage with having to memorize lines and the threat of forgetting my line in the middle of a show was like a harrowing thought. And so once I discovered improv, I was like, oh, no pressure here. There's literally no lines to forget.
Was there an improv like club at school or?
Yes, there was,
okay.
But the biggest influence in my improv was my uncle, whose name is Ezra Weiss. He's a voice actor out here, and my aunt Sabrina Hill Weiss, and the two of them used to manage a improv theater out here on Fairfax. And I think you got it's in the questions. Bang Theater was this improv theater that they used to run. So I would come out here every summer and like just hang out with them, and was running lights and like doing sound cues for their improv shows. And then I would just sort of like play a little bit, and then I joined the improv club at high school.
That kind of tickles that editing thing too for you, because you're like, I get to do lights, I get to do these things, and then
absolutely, JB, you're totally right, because it was like, and scenes out. I would be like hovering over the light switch.
I knew
like,
when
am I
to
gonna
cut.
call it? Yeah.
It's essentially the stick on like.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I wish I had that.
We're done. We're done.
Yeah.
I'm just
I'm
imagining.
just gonna get pulled out of here at the end of the rehearsal.
Just play them off by flashing the lights.
Just imagining them literally just being, but I had this great joke. It's like, it wasn't that great.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. The line before was the joke. Me
exactly.
cutting the light was the joke.
That's right.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you actually didn't have a joke. I had a joke.
Yeah. You were the punchline to my joke. Yes.
But... You're welcome.
Yeah. So that really became, and then in college, like not long after I kind of discovered improv, I was like, this is all I ever want to do. And I did it for a long time. All the way out here, I was doing it when I came out to California too.
Well, that kind of sets up our next question. JB, I feel like I've been talking too much if you want to take it.
Sure thing. So since you were able to kind of do improv and do all those other things, in 2008, you went to Maryland for school. How does that play into for business? How does that work into the improv
really
world? Because that's
in high school,
total contradiction.
Yeah, 100%. I in high school did not know what I wanted to do. I think if I was honest with myself, I wanted to probably act. But it never felt really like a realistic prospect. So I wasn't about to invest in that. I wasn't going to go to college to study acting or theater or anything like that. Because it didn't feel like something I genuinely could do with my life. And so graduation comes around and I don't know what I'm going to do. I go to Maryland and I basically just decide to get a business degree because not knowing what I want to do after work, I know it's certainly not going to hurt my interview anywhere to be like, I have a business degree. Like, great. You're perfect to work at Kinko's or whatever. Like, it's just, it was never going to be a problem. And so it kind of felt like the most common denominator of like a safety to leave school with. And then once I got into it, I learned about marketing, and I really got into marketing because it felt like the theater of business. It was like just, and then graphic design also started like, scratching that itch of creativity. And so I ended up leaving with a marketing degree and like a concentration in graphic design. I wasn't sure I really wanted to do it. I liked Photoshop work and stuff. Oh, we lost him.
Oh no, his internet comes and goes occasionally.
Yeah,
so.
no, for sure. Should we wait or there he is? But now it's all there. We go. I was like,
there we go.
Doesn't make sense.
Don't worry, I am puppet mastering behind the scenes. I
don't remember where that left me, but basically I left school being like, I'll just have a business degree and I'll go into marketing maybe. And then it was like, I still love editing. So I was still editing in high school, in college. And so then I was like, I want to go out to LA anyways, because I kind of always knew I was going to come to LA because my aunt and uncle lived out here and I had such good times that it always felt like a place I wanted to be. And then I wanted to be an editor. So I kind of let the business degree sort of like fall to the wayside while I pursued that for a little bit. And then every editor I met with was like Billy Madison when he goes back to kindergarten, first grade, and he's like, "Don't you say that? Don't you ever say you got to cherish." Every editor was like, "Why would you want to do this?"
At what age did you move out to LA?
Right after college. So I was 2012.
Now, did you have like a plan at all? I know, like you said, like you had family here, but did you have like a plan?
No. I had
because we hear that a lot from people on Bob's and in animation. They're like, I'm just going to LA or bust. We'll see what happens.
It certainly and I don't know what it's like now, but when there was no like working remote, there was no like interviewing remote, there was nothing like that sense. So, and everything was gig work, even if it's like a gig for 6 months, like it's gig work. So if you want to work in LA, you go to LA. Like if you want to work in TV, you go to TV. And yeah. And so what did I say?
You said if you want to, you go to LA and then you go to TV, as if TV was a place you actually go to.
And if you want to go TV, you go TV.
Yeah, TV.
Like,
TV as in the Tujunga Valley.
Yeah, of course. No, we all knew.
Everybody
we knew.
Yeah.
We speak Valley lingo. We get it.
We got it.
Yeah, no, I can tell. You guys are hip.
We know the 5 and the 4 and some of the other roads.
That's right.
29 Palms, baby. I used to live out there. I know it.
There we go.
Yeah, Mike, take over.
You just it feels like you just had to come out here and you kind of expect to get some kind of work doing something. I think the idea is like not having any preconceived notions of the type of work you're going to have to do. You just come out here looking for a PA job, which is, a glorified, and those were all my first jobs. I mean, when I was a post PA when I first got my first work. I think I did some freelance stuff before that, graphic design and editing, but I didn't have I think my first job out here was a post-production assistant on Army Wives.
Would the move out to LA, would that decision have been harder had you not already had family out there?
I think so. I mean, I have been, my uncle was like the first person in our family. He's my mom's youngest brother. They're all from New Jersey. And so he left to go to, school in California. He went to Cal Arts to do acting study. And he sort of established a life out here. and nobody else in my family really had. By the time I got out here, my dad was living out here. But I think it would have been different. I don't know, frankly, if I ever would have known or concerned myself with Los Angeles if I had family already out here younger. But when I found out about LA, just from a weather perspective, I kind of always knew this is where I wanted to be.
It's wild to hear that, because I remember, like I said, I used to live out in 29 Palms. I got out of the Marine Corps when I was 21, Southern California. I'm like, you know what? This is where I want to live. I love it here. The weather's great. The food's amazing. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm like, I can't fucking live here. It's too expensive. I don't have a job. I need to move back to the East Coast. So like my pragmatic brain could never and would never allow me to even try or even think about trying staying there. So to hear your story and everybody else's, it just blows my mind, because I could never do that.
Well, I also had, like, I did not have anything to be afraid of. I was coming here with family. I had not only like a couch to sleep on, I had like a bed to sleep on. Like I had a place to be for an extended period of time with no like statute of limitations on when I would have to get it. You know, I was very fortunate in being able to come out here and take my time to get myself set up. So I think otherwise, Los Angeles is a very scary place to be. Especially because like, it's one thing if you're in New York City, like you don't need a car. You don't even need a bike. But in California, you need, like in Los Angeles, you need that.
Yes, you do.
You have to have that to even just get to an interview or to do anything, to meet up with somebody for coffee. Like it's just, there's a higher barrier to entry in terms of just like, let me go there and figure out settling first.
Yeah. We've heard that from
so
quite
I was
a
very
few
fortunate
people.
in that, like, I didn't, I was just very, very comfortable to be able to come out and try it. And I still feel that because I'm still out here trying to like get certain jobs, and I'm not at risk of being, you know, kicked out of my apartment or whatever it is. Like that's a real struggle for a lot of people. And in California, more than anywhere, like it's just so expensive.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot. There's a lot of odds up against you, and I have to think it's like you're either very fortunate or very brave, or a combination of the two. To be able, I'm fortunate, not brave.
We had one.
I am not brave. I am.
You are very brave, Jay. Don't
Yes,
say
you
that
are.
about yourself.
Don't. I am not brave, and I would never. And I would never.
You are the bravest. We had one guest, for the life of me, I bring this story
Drew,
up a lot.
I think it's Drew.
Was
you're
it
thinking
Drew?
About.
Okay, yeah. He got in the car, packed up all his stuff, and drove out to California without a job in mind.
Drew Hanks.
Yeah. And then I think he got all the way to Arizona and had to fax in like maybe his resume
and his portfolio. He was like sending it in because he's like the internet was not great. He's like, I didn't have Wi-Fi or anything. I'm driving in this car from Cincinnati all the way to California, and he's like, I got a job like literally in an hour after I sent everything. Like, yeah, you're on for Spaceballs. And he's like, it was the worst job of my life. But he talks about like getting like his landlord being a creep, like riding a bike to interviews, trying to like make it work, getting not paid for months from Spaceballs, and being like, guys, like I have to freaking live. And then like, here's like $5,000. And he's like, I can't just walk around with this in cash. He's like, this isn't safe.
Yeah. That is so, I mean, that's the most Drew thing I've ever heard, because Drew's the best, coolest person I know, and the dude has lived a life when it comes to employment. I mean, he's been all
but that's so. I don't even leave my house to go get my Domino's order until I see that it's ready to be picked up. But he drives without a job, saying, we'll see when we get there." It's insane.
Yeah. No, Drew is a brave soul. Yep.
Back to the questions though. In 2012 to 2014, you got your first gig as a production assistant working on Army Wives, as you mentioned earlier, and then later in mixology. And you kind of touched on it a little, but like, what was it like to become an intern? Did you like, oh, I got my foot in the door now?
Yes, it felt really cool because I wanted to be an editor. I wanted to work in post-production, and I knew it was a long journey. Like I have friends who are well deserving and are still just now getting their like assistant editor credit. And so to get a post PA job felt like a really big win. And it was not in the way I expected, because I ended up not wanting to go down that path. But the best friends I've made out here, I met doing that job. And the one thing I heard that I learned from my post producer at the time, she told me that you have to like who you work with, because it was really tempting to want to like the project. Like I was sort of between the job of Army Wives at the same time I maybe had an interview to do the same job on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I was like, okay, that would be so cool, whereas Army Wives I don't know anything about. Meanwhile, I went and worked on Army Wives, and I met like my best friend out here, a couple of my best friends out here. And then mixology came next, and it was the same team. They just brought me along. So, and I think we all liked that, because there are so many terrible assholes out here. Just the worst people on earth are in Los Angeles, and you're lucky if you don't have to work with them. I've been again fortunate, not brave, that I've gotten to work with really good people, and it ends up not being about the job, but about the company you keep in the office. Because ultimately, like, it's not like I was gonna be involved in Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the same way I wasn't really involved with Army Wives, but I was in a office with one dude all day, and now our kids went to the arcade together on Mother's Day because we were like, let's get out of our wives' house.
Yeah.
So like that is so that's something I really learned, not even because it was specific to the job, but it was just like my first real industry work where I kind of learned an important lesson of you just have to, all that matters is that you like who you work with. And that's really hard to find. So if there's an option to keep working with people you like, take it.
We've been hearing that actually a lot too throughout the interviews we've done. Like if you really like your team and you like your boss and who you're working with, it's like you'll do almost anything to stay, because you're like, why wouldn't I? It's so much more comforting than going to something foreign and maybe, as you said, working with an asshole and having to be stuck.
Yeah. And you just never know, like, what you have no control over what direction any path is going to take. So like you may as well invest in like the companions on the path with you, right?
And that's also like something that we've noticed in this whole series we've done too, is like everyone who said like if you stick with kind of like what you're saying, stick with the team that you like, that treats you pretty well and like makes you feel like you're welcomed and belong. Yeah, it may not lead to like this amazing, like, I don't really love Army Wives, but then it's like, what happens after that? And it's just like all the connections that you make, because it seems like those work out better because they take you along to mixology. A lot of the people we interview get taken along to the next project because they're like, you were great to work with and we had fun with you, versus like I went for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and once that show ended, there was really nothing left.
Because I'm a big nerd. Yeah. And I mean, the exact example is The Great North. I was on Bob's, and then Wendy and Lizzie started The Great North, and they were like, come on. And then here I am. And it's great. So much better than Bob's.
That's it. That's the clip we're putting. We're cutting that one right there.
Yeah.
Jay, what was the saying you've been saying? It's like something not brave.
Oh, I'm fortunate.
That sounds like a Ham Tobin quote. Ham Tobin.
Yes.
Fortunate, not brave.
Not brave. Oh, totally.
Let's see. Okay, so in 2014 to 2016, you then worked with CBS at the same time in digital marketing and ad sales as a coordinator. Is this true?
Yes. So I was a design coordinator. What was my title? Is this coordinator?
I believe so. That's what our research has said.
Yeah. Is this like?
That's what LinkedIn said.
Is this from my LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
Yeah. That's. I mean, I just don't remember, but yeah, I'm sure. I probably was like a digital coordinator. So I left. Mixology ended. I left feeling pretty burnt out on the premise of working in post-production because I wasn't really interested in being in editorial anymore. And I don't think I had a job lined up next. I don't think any of us had something next. There was maybe potential to like move up that ladder, and I was like, but I don't want to like keep climbing this ladder, so it feels like a waste of time. Again, fortunate in the sense that like if I had a job offer at that time, I didn't have to take it. And then I wanted to try going back. I was more interested back in like graphic design. So I started looking for work in marketing, specifically with that in mind. And I happened on a really cool gig working for CBS digital coordinator. I was basically the in-house designer for the ad sales team for CBS National. So it was like every territory in the U.S. has a CBS, like CBS Atlanta, CBS Tampa, CBS whatever. They have their website where it's all basically looks like everywhere else, but it says Chicago. And then I worked on the national team that oversaw all of that. And he's gonna miss such a good story. No,
I don't know why.
And Spectrum or Cox, who's your provider over there?
Unfortunately, it is. We don't have BreezeLine anymore. We have ATT Uverse.
Okay.
We only have 3 to choose from.
It's Ohio. That's the problem. Is it's Ohio.
It is.
It's Ohio. I used to drive through Ohio on road trips in college, and
No, it's fair.
I would get them. I would without a doubt would get a ticket in Ohio, no matter what. When I drove through.
But basically, the corn steals our Wi-Fi, and
that's why you have giant corn out there.
They've got news for it, though.
5G, it just takes it all from us. So like we're just scraping by at this point.
That's so rude. Whatever. Anyways, the point, all of that to say was, so I was making, so it was like an exec would sell an ad for Godiva chocolate to CBS Ohio, and they'd be like, hey Jay, I just sold a huge ad spot and they don't have any materials, so can you mock up and make some Godiva ads real quick? And I would just like graphic design, like grab the logo. I would just like be all over Google Images, just like pulling stuff, because they didn't know. But like 1 out of 7 times they would send me a press kit, but it was like just make whatever you want. And then and that's what I would do for them. It was cool at first, and then very quickly like soul draining. Really great people. I loved working with who I worked with, but in case anyone's watching,
trust me, no one is.
The best people.
But the job, yeah. But the job itself was like getting dressed up in like dress pants and a tie and going to a gray cubicle. Like
that's where I'm at.
So Severance.
Bob Parr, like it was bad, and I was feeling really drained. Like it wasn't scratching the creative itch I thought it might, and I kind of recognized that was something that was really important to me in that time. So I took the leap. I remember readying to have the conversation with my boss, who was like the nicest, coolest dude, and he really tried to make like a different worker bee out of me in terms. He was like, we're gonna have you make these graphs of like data sets, and I was like, okay, but I'm gonna fuck it up, and I did.
I'll do it, but it's gonna be bad.
But I remember what's up. I remember going in and preparing myself for this conversation and being like, just don't say you've been doing some soul searching.
Oh, God.
It's so cliche. Don't say it. Just communicate your feelings without that kind of metaphor. And I sat down and I was like, so I've been doing some soul searching. And I was like, God, what is wrong?
He should have fired you.
I had been doing.
He should have fired you before you said that.
The second you uttered that word, like,
yeah, and he was like, "This is over." Yeah. And I realized I wanted to leave, to write and to act, and so that's what I did. And I very quickly realized that I just wanted to write. Whoa, no. I think I was on the like acting audition type circuit for like maybe not even a full year, and I was like, this is the worst experience a human can go.
You didn't even like make, because we had Nick and Anthony on, and from the Great North, of course, and they would make their own little things. So there was no desire to write and act in your own stuff.
There was, but I felt very constrained. I was still doing improv, and like that really became my outlet for performance. And I loved it, and I still do, but I was like really dedicating a lot of time to that. And then I think it kind of went back to this the same feeling I maybe had in high school, where I was like, I don't know how to make a career out of acting. I can kind of see the roadmap to make a career out of writing, and I feel like there's a tangible element of growth that I can actually work on, whereas acting always felt a little more amorphous and theoretical to me, where I felt like I didn't have that much of the bug to invest like a whole theology on becoming a better actor. But writing came to me really quick in terms of like enjoying getting better. And so then, I kind of set forth to chase that dream instead.
Must be nice. My dream was like baseball player or like astronaut. Little less obtainable, but.
Well, my dream when I was little was like a comic strip artist.
Yeah. You kind of got there.
Like I used to draw like little comics and like tell little like 3-4 panel stories.
So it sounds like what you're telling me is I failed at chasing my dream. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I was going to be a Disney animator, and that fell apart after I met one.
There you go.
Oh yeah, were they like?
He crushed it.
Get out.
And he was like top.
Who was it?
He was really big with Tarzan, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and Treasure Planet was his last movie. And he's just like, I have kids at home. I don't see them because I'm constantly here.
Yeah.
And he's like, and we just finished, I think it was Tarzan. And he's like, and that was a 3-year ordeal. And I got 6 weeks. And then they're like, come on back for Treasure Planet. And he's like, what if I say no? And they're like, you just won't have a job. And he's like, okay, I guess I'm coming back. Dude, and I got him right after he finished Treasure Planet and said, I put in my notice to Disney. Like, I just can't do this anymore. Because they just had messaged him.
Were you working? You were working there?
He had been working there, I think, over a decade.
But you were working there? No.
I was young.
Oh, he put his notice into Disney. He's like,
I'm out. And then my dad's like, I want you to meet this animator. Because I was like maybe 14 and really wanted to do it. And he's like, so let me tell you about that. And I was like, oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Just like crushed.
I mean, I think that's such a norm. Like, that's just such a part. Everybody has that story where they're like, I wanted to do this. But then this person told me not to. And it's like everybody just got their own.
Got back to
path.
it because I mean, we interview you guys and we go to like Comic-Con, so like I still kind of do get to do that stuff, but it's
and I know you've still got the skills. I see your work with that.
thank you.
Yeah, nobody ever told me I couldn't. I just like stopped growing, so I'm like 5'2", and there ain't no center fielders for the Washington Nationals being 5'2". So.
What we would call the self-reflection phase of the interview, where Mike looks inward.
Yeah.
Realizes
and you have to.
Oh, so it's my fault. Everybody else was encouraging me. I fucked up.
There's a small Mike that just wants to get out. A small child.
Within the smaller Mike that's already here?
I didn't say that. You said that.
You implied it. Mike, do you still play?
No, I am 40 years old and my back hurts when I go to the bathroom.
Is it like the little like Gene baseball?
No. I talk to successful people. I don't do anything myself. I'm actually going golfing for the first time in 25 years this weekend.
Good luck.
And I'm afraid that I'm gonna throw my back out. So
well, that's what the cart's for.
Oh my god.
So you can just drive around.
That's what the cart's for.
We'll see.
Will we? We will see.
In 2017, of course, you started working with Bento Box Entertainment, specifically on Bob's Burgers as a production assistant and then as a script coordinator. How did this opportunity come about?
So I was out of work. I had left CBS maybe a year or so before, and I was doing like acting and freelance and just like really living off of savings in a way where I was becoming no longer comfortable with that. And I also was like, I need some stuff.
Kudos to you for even having savings, by the way. I
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Adult.
Yeah, that's an adult thing.
Yeah, no. Well, I used to have savings, and then One Piece released a trading card game. So that's all gone. And I think it's fine because like by the time Foster's old enough, college isn't.
No, it's hardly a thing now.
No.
It's like it's just not important.
To be an influencer.
Yeah, exactly. I've already got him streaming.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You're on your path. You're right on the way.
Exactly. And that's gonna be my income one day. So yeah, I was like just kind of looking for work. I applied to Trader Joe's and they said no. It's like,
they're lost.
Okay, you know I work at CBS, right? And then I met up with. I was at a Dodger game.
Yeah.
I was at a Dodger game.
Yeah. I got questions about that, but we'll get to that.
My wife introduced me to a friend of hers. I was at a Dodger game. My wife introduced me to a friend of hers, who was at the game, and we met up and said hey. And I'd never met him before. I don't know if I'd met him before. Maybe I had. This may be the first time I met him. His name was Harry Walner.
Yeah.
And that's the one. Wow. My wife Katie introduced me to him because they went to high school together. Not only did they go to high school together, I know Harry's watching, and I know he knows exactly what I'm gonna say, which is that they went to prom together.
Oh, the tea.
It's my favorite piece of trivia to drop. Like truly, anytime I introduce Harry to anyone, I'm like, this is Harry Walner. He and Katie went to prom.
It's wild because
and so
one of my favorite podcasts, his wife is the producer of, and I didn't put two and two together because sometimes they drop his name. Yeah, Olivia. On My Mama Told Me. And every time they drop his name, I'm like, oh, shit, I know that guy. Oh.
Yeah. True H man. So Harry knew he knew I was looking for work, and he put me up for the runner job that had just opened at Bob's. To just be the PA, but truly the job was handing out paychecks and driving DVDs to Fox from Burbank to Culver City, which is pretty hellish drive in the summer in your car that doesn't.
Oh, amen. I did that in Florida for a summer, and no, thank you.
Oh, it was awful. So I started there. Harry got me that job, and I stayed in that position for a little bit, and then Harry ended up moving. Harry was a color PA at that point. I think he was like building color scripts for Bob's episodes, but was kind of finding his place. And then he took over for Rachel Hastings, who was the audio coordinator, and he took over for audio coordinator, and I became his like audio PA. So then I was in records, and I was prepping cue sheets and working like with Harry, and that was great. That was really, really cool experience. And then I don't remember if you were asking me to keep going.
No, you go.
Oh,
okay.
This is your life.
So I was working with Harry. Brian and I were also really close because like script audio is just naturally
Brian Wiley,
very tied together.
Okay,
Brian Wiley. Yes. Well, yeah. And he had recently-ish become the script coordinator on Bob's. So we were all kind of like, figuring out as we go in terms of our respective positions. And then Bob's announced that they were going to do the movie and that they were going to do Central Park. And with the movie, Brian was going to be script coordinating the show and the movie. So they promoted me to co-script coordinator to basically so that we could split those jobs in two, because Brian would end up, and I think this was always kind of the idea, doing more of the heavy lifting on the movie coordinating, so then I was like the fallback for script. But it was, so for my longest time at Bob's, I think we were co-script coordinators, and it was like he'd do odd episodes, I'd do even episodes.
Now, were you a fan of the show before you came on, or? Yeah. Yes,
I was in so much in a sense that like I knew, I knew of Bob's because I'd interned at like Adult Swim, and I grew up watching that. Like I was very familiar with Bob's Burgers at that point. And so I kind of like not overlooked, but like didn't care that the job was like a PA job, which is, the lowest job on the quote unquote totem pole. But, I was just like, I've done this job for shows I don't like. So to do this job for a show that like I recognize as being like a truly excellent piece of media was very cool. And to work in animation, there was just a lot there that brought me in terms of like, I'm not sure I want to do this job, but I am sure I kind of want to like work with this company.
Now that actually segues nicely into my next question here is, obviously you worked on live action stuff and behind the scenes, and now you're working behind the scenes on animation. Is there a drastic difference between the two, or is like behind the scenes just kind of behind the scenes?
Big difference. And I wonder if Drew touched on this at all when you talked to him, because I quote Drew all the time. Because when Drew and I started working together, which we'd already been working together, but we didn't really get in together until Great North. And he always told me about his time working in live action. He would work on like in the art department for Ryan Murphy projects, which is a whole other world of craziness. But even going back to like when I was at Army Wives, the writers and the post-production was in Los Angeles. The set and the actors were in South Carolina. So they would write the show, they would fax the show, and then they would send it back and edit it, and they would just like ping pong back and forth. And it's already enough to be working on a show that you have, you're writing this scene and then it shoots tomorrow. Like we have the set tomorrow. And it's like 3 a.m. and they just gave you new pages to like work on. You have like something break on the set and you have to fix it right then. There's a lot of little fires in live action that are infinitely possible at all times. in any stage. And in animation, you probably know this already, it takes a year to make an episode. Conservatively, that's with no mistakes, which doesn't happen. So you see a fire on an episode of The Great North, like, oh crap, we have to fix that problem. And Drew and I both saw it happening with people who, like producers or people who had come in from live action or working in other things. And they're like, oh my God, we have to fix this. Oh my gosh, this is that. And we're like already been in the business for however many years at this point. We're like, oh my God, we're really going to have to fix that in 3 months. You know, like that's really going to be an issue next year.
That's a nice feeling though, to have that in the back of your head. Like
my doorbell.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's the least of what's been wrong. My internet going out too, but
yeah, no, like you're saying, it's like that makes the job a lot more. The vibe is a lot more relaxed and a lot more fun because you have more time to kind of stretch your legs. And of course, you'll interview Matt Kalmus or somebody who's like in charge of our post production, and like they'll have a different story because everything falls together no matter what.
Aaron Humston, he tells us all the time. He's just like, we're like, we'll get to that later, or like we do some dialogue and it doesn't match, and he's like, that's fine, I just have to fix it in like a week. But he's like, but it's okay.
Yeah. And I mean, it really is like, I would have people, because one of the jobs that I took on, and now Caroline was doing it most, was legal and BSNP clearances. So we'll have something come up and it's like, you can't say Oreo or whatever. And we have to edit it to make that work. And it's like, oh my gosh, we have to fix this, and it's the animatic and it's wrong and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, we're not going to rewrite the script for like 3 months or 2 months or whatever from now. So like, great, I've marked it down and I'll come back to that post then. Like there's just nothing's ever the same urgency. I would say the biggest difference between live action and animation is that the urgency is very different. It's not present in the same way, which lends to a much more enjoyable in-office experience because everybody's
this is a 5 month down the road worry, not now. So for like
and Drew, and again, and just to bring it back, Drew was the one who really opened my eyes to that difference, because I think I like knew innately like there was something more enjoyable about this experience than the jobs I'd had before. And I think it was that pressure slowly like boils off because you just sort of learn the schedule and you understand that like, oh, that's something I don't have to worry about right now. And I can do it when it's time to do it. And when it is time to do it, it'll be really quick.
So when you took over for like Wiley, because he was moving more towards the movie, like during season 9 of Bob's, what was it like to start focusing on like strictly continuity? And did you find that you liked all that kind of like detail orientation, like keeping everything on track, or did you find it kind of new? I still do not like it, and I don't think I'm very good at it because it's all typos, and there's a big difference between a script cleaned up by Brian Wiley and a script by Jay Kasten, and I will be the first to tell you that, and everyone else that's worked with us will be the second, because it is just the way it is. I wouldn't even call Brian a perfectionist. It's just that like he does the work perfectly, and then I come in and I don't. And I think it was very exciting to get to work closer to the writers and the script, because that's where I wanted to be, and I had now an avenue to talk to those people. I would like have sleepless nights when it was a table read and I was the last one to look at the script.
And I would like read it 3 or 4 times. I'm also a slow reader, so I would just like take longer, and I would worry about like, people wondering where it is and all that stuff. And ultimately I learned nobody really cared like I cared, but I loved so much of the job and hated and was terrified of so much more of the job. And I still feel that way. It wasn't until the last couple seasons on the Great North where I was like, I got
this. I lost my place. There was so much going on around me that I lost my place. Okay. Actually, quick timeout. Do you need to leave here in about 15?
Yeah.
Okay. Then
I can give you 20.
Okay,
we're just figuring out we can jump to Great North now. So
let's segue to Great North, because right off of that he's like, which led him to Great North. So we can just
all right, JB, I'll let you take that in 3, 2, 1, magic.
So speaking of the Great North, Jay, and your
I don't think I was speaking
favorite.
of the Great North. No, I'm just kidding.
Is this an improv thing?
Yes, and JB, yes, and
in a situation. So in 2021, you did join the Great North, and as of right now, you've written quite a few episodes for the Great North. So we wanted to ask you some questions about that, and kind of get to know your experience of how did it. I know you said you met with Wendy and Lizzie, and that got you.
I think Mike has a question.
How the hell do you play D&D?
Okay.
Yeah,
we can get to that later, but I just want to put that in the back of everybody's mind.
We have 15, 20 minutes left. I'm going to maybe, you know what? I can give you another hour.
Okay. That'll be in the follow-up.
I'm just clear on
we'll cover D&D in a follow-up.
I will follow up on that.
Okay, bet. Okay.
And I'll ask this question at the end too. But so with that in mind, I know you said Wendy and Lizzie were like, hey, we're on Bob's. We really like working with you. Come over with us. What was it like to kind of get that team assembled, meet those people? I know some came from Bob's, some did not. But what's it like to work with the Great North team?
It's great. I mean, it's been, tumultuous over the seasons as like changes have come and gone, but I felt I already had a big respect for Wendy and Lizzie, because amongst all the fantastic Bob's episodes, I'd worked on some of the ones with them that I really, really loved, and like did the things on Bob's that I loved Bob's for. And so I knew that going to the Great North was going to be more of that and then some. And so I was really excited to sort of get in there. I'd also, the opportunity really came about because I was brought on to help with the pitch presentation. So I was basically script coordinating the presentation, which was like the first half of the pilot. So I think it was also like, okay, well, the easiest course of action is like, just keep doing that. And so I was really excited for a change, frankly, because I'd been at Bob's for so long. And I also kind of knew that Bob's was not going to give me the opportunity to grow in a writing sense that I was looking for. And I knew that from the beginning. I mean, that was something that was told to me in the first interview. But it wasn't, sorry, I dropped my fidget dice. But I also knew that going to a new show, whether it was under the same roof or not, like there was just a potential for a new opportunity. So I was mostly really excited to meet some new people and to just be more like as terrified as it was and still is to like speak my mind, to be able to say that like this is what I wanted to do, and get that opportunity to do more writing and sort of grow in that direction. So just really the idea of like a whole new room of writers, and with some, you know what, I'm a poetic genius. It's kind of like my move to Los Angeles. I had some family here. I had some comfort. I knew the office, but it was a whole group of new people to meet.
It was a whole new floor, and I was ready to go up.
A whole new floor. We were closest to the bevy with the water. It was a whole new thing. But I will say, once I jumped in, they had already started the room. They'd already started breaking episodes. Drew was there, but I think had to like wrap up some stuff on Bob's first, and they just didn't need me until they like started getting closer to Reed's. So they kind of like opened up the
here in town. They ran out of Tenobia, which
we
is for chemo.
What's happening in the room?
And the only clinic that had it.
Which I don't mind, but whoever I'm hearing might. The point, all of that to say is, I love the Great North. Is that the question?
Eventually, we're gonna get there, but yeah. Also, before we go any further, I do like that you also have a fidgety thing to.
Oh yeah, you got to.
Yeah, I have a whole thing of golf balls over here.
Just been like playing with us the whole time.
But obviously, you've been with the show for a while now. You've written 2 episodes, of course. One confuses me to this day.
Let me correct. I have been credited with writing 2 episodes.
Yes.
Any episodes written by Kevin Sesha, those are me. Yeah. Tell him I said that too. I know you're watching.
All right, actually, here. No, we don't. He's not here. Of course not. Why would he be in Tallahassee?
He has something to say to you.
But of course, one of the episodes confuses me because I don't understand D&D. From a hole in the ground.
But you're very familiar with cults.
Oh no, yeah, love me a good cult.
Florida
Jonestown,
loves cults.
No questions.
Heaven's
Ohio,
Gate.
Yeah.
Got you covered. But is there a favorite episode of yours that you've worked on, whether it be written by you and credited to somebody else, Kevin?
Yeah, ghost written. Yeah.
Hey, Drake does it. Who cares?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
If it's good enough for Drake, it's
A
good enough
lot
for
of
me.
people.
Exactly.
That's a good question. I think one of.
Sorry, I missed my cue. That's the only kind I ask.
Yeah. I think the best episode we've written is this last season's premiere, where they lose the boat, and because it was, first of all, it felt like this incredible change of energy on the show that feels like this sort of final evolution beyond like the Bob's Burgers sister show, which is a great position to be in, but I think it felt like we've got our own name and our own style.
You definitely do.
And you see that in the version of the triptych that we're telling in this one. And the fact that the show is allowed to evolve in that way, that we can have a boat, we can replace a boat, and we can get a new boat. And now, like, I mean, it all comes from this idea of like, we want to do more stories on the boat, but the boat we drew is so freaking small. So like, let's get an actually sized commercial fishing boat in the family, and let's put some heart behind why we're throwing it in there. And I mean, I had to watch, as the script coordinator, you have to watch the episode quite a few times. And I think I still tear up at the bad boat story.
Yeah.
The little Pixar. I mean, the animation on there is so next level. The design work is so good. I mean, everybody but Will.
We were trying to rack our brain about what it's based off of, because there's so many little influences in that little short, because it feels Pixar, it feels like kind of Studio Ghibli, it kind of feels like a bunch of different shows, but it's still all its own, with like it being the Great North, the cute little boat that eventually almost like kind of giving tree in a way too.
The shot of Beef spinning the captain's wheel and all the kids like rotate through as they're getting older is incredible. It's just so freaking good, and it's just such good storytelling. And this is because if they see this, they're gonna hate that I say this, but like that kind of storytelling is why I was so excited to keep working with Wendy and Lizzie, because that's the kind of storytelling they do, and it comes so naturally to them to write something fun and funny that has such an emotional core. Is what makes the show so great, and it's them, and they wrote that episode, and I remember I've watched so many of our episodes over and over and over again, and they've all been great, and I can cite a million moments from every episode that I love, but I remember watching that one when it came back in color, and knowing it was like the send off into this season 5, and having an understanding that like this is a whole new freedom to the show that we haven't had before, that is making that is just telling such a good story, and we have so well developed these characters and this family and this town and the heart behind this show that we have the freedom to play in this kind of world. And you can have this really heart-tugging story, and you can have like a shot-for-shot send-up of Back to the Future, and you can also have Moon wink at the TV and say Hulu,
which is really cute.
Like, I mean, it's just all there. And I remember like those are the kind of jokes in season 1, and those are the kind of stories in season 1 we would have had a lot of trouble selling and telling those stories and writing, and it all just like felt so put together in this time that it's definitely one of my favorite episodes besides the 2 that I've written.
Now, of course, there's always 2 parts to an episode. You have the animation and you have the writing and you have the animation. And it seems like, especially in season 5, that you all are taking bigger swings to make things look more a bit cinematic, whether it be wide shots of the lone moose itself, or whether it be in the one where the Naked and Afraid inspired episode. The name escapes me now.
He drank the bad water.
Yeah, they kick Wolf off the boat, and he kind of is like sitting in the water, but then it pans out, and you see just the ocean.
Beautiful,
you see the mountains, and it's essentially just a painting on the screen there. Was that a conscious effort to make things look a bit more bigger, like expanding the world?
I think so. I mean, it was a sell when the show first was brought into, when it was just a glimmer in Wendy and Lizzie Minty's eye, was this beautiful landscape, this idea of wilderness and this idea of adventure. I mean, we regret it now because it's very limiting, but every episode ends with adventure because every episode should feel like an adventure. And because I think that's, no matter where you are in Alaska, you could be in a small town, but like going to the store is an adventure. Like it's just like that. And so I think the art reflecting that is really important. And it's just been able to get better and better as we've gone, because the nature of animation is you have to make everything. Absolutely everything has to be made from scratch. It all starts with a blank page. So now in season 5, we don't have to draw Santiago. He's already drawn. So there's a bigger library that we can pull from that allows more bandwidth to
address those other things.
Yeah, to create some new stuff and to like make a bigger deal out of like my episode, for example. The whole first sequence is in like a G.I. Joe, He-Man
look,
show. It's an entirely different look, even the animation style, and like, we have a lot of great artists, but Mario is like who directed this episode is like so well equipped to handle that kind of stuff because he's worked on everything. I don't know if you've talked to Mario, but he worked on.
Oh yeah,
we go way back with Mario.
He's the man. I mean, he worked. The first thing when I met him, he had a Funko Pop of Angry Beavers, and he's like, "Yeah, I worked on that." And I was like, "Oh my god, okay." But I was so excited that he got to do this episode because he and I had known each other for a long time, but I also knew that he was going to have a good sense of like the form break we were looking for to put us in the D&D world. And he had so many fantastic ideas that brought that scene to life. We wouldn't have been able to do it in earlier seasons because it would have been too much work, and we didn't have the trust of everyone we worked with that we could pull it off. And I think it's safe to say we pulled it off.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah,
Critical hit.
we all definitely understood the episode.
All of us.
We all followed along.
But even with like season 5, like the stories, I do agree with you, because even like Ham and Crispin breaking up, people like there's been more emotional hits this season, and even in season 4, like Beef dating again.
Yeah,
the show definitely took leaps where it's like we're gonna progress time. Where like Bob's is like they're always the same age, they don't age, and it's like we've stopped doing birthdays, we don't do that anymore. Where the Great North is like, no, they're gonna move on a little bit.
I know, and I think it's I think that's really, really, really fun because you want, because we're in the writer's room or in the artists conference, like everybody, you could work on a show for however long, but like you're not gonna stay the same. You're gonna change, and you're gonna have different views and different opinions and different experiences you've grown from. And I think it's really cool to be able to showcase that in the work you do, and just take new lessons from real life and put them in to the show you're making. And something as simple as being like, we need a bigger boat is an example of that. And just getting to have the show evolve in that way is kind of the whole fun of writing, is like you figure out the show as you do it.
That was it's funny, you gave us the exact same answer that Brian Husky gave us when we asked him like why do you think the writing changed post movie? Why was Luis a little more grown up and not chaotic evil? I think and he said it's because it's a direct reflection of the writers now growing up and have more life experiences, having kids of their own, and now wanting to write different stories. I mean, we can't make the toothpick joke every season in Bob's. Sometimes you have to grow up a little, so it's really cool to see two different people have kind of the same pull there.
Because we've heard that from lots of fans too. They bring it up all the time, like, why are they not doing these jokes, or why are they being more sentimental? And we're like, Brian was like, I'll address it right now. He's like, because this is a real life situation that people who watch the show go through. And he's like, and writers grow, and like characters grow, and the voice actors have dealt with like things going on in their life, or maybe writers grew up with divorced parents, and like this is something we could address. He's like, why not? I
mean, and Husky's the perfect example with like the Magical Rudy. Like, it's just, what is it, the Amazing Rudy? What was that called? Where that is like such a departure of an episode, but not in a way where you're like taken out of the comfort of Bob's Burgers, but in a way where you're like, let's get real about this kind of gag character's situation at home.
Also, Jay, to bring back your point earlier about Wendy and Lizzie, they wrote that episode. They told that story.
I know. They wrote them all. They wrote
I know everything.
They wrote the one where Bob finally gets Linda her engagement ring, and then they can't find it, and they fly it, and it's in the nest at the top of the restaurant. Oh my God!
You know what? Jay's right. They get too much credit.
Really
I was gonna say, you know how? So not only have I written all of Kevin's episodes, but let's just say I've also written every Wendy and Lizzie episode.
I want to say it felt very Jay when I was reading it. I was like,
yeah, you're like, I don't know. This is Jay written all over it.
Is it like in every one, it's just like your little catchphrases in there?
Yeah. Don't make me tell my mama. I always have to put it in.
It's always in there. And they've been on here twice too. And I was like, oh, they keep asking us to come on. And we're like, hey.
They're frauds. They know they're frauds, but they know they're frauds.
Calm down, Wendy and Lizzie. We get it.
We want the ghostwriter. Bring him out.
Yeah. So of course you've worn so many hats up until this point now, and now of course writer. What's for you? What would be the next step?
I would love to keep writing television. I am a script coordinator. I want to be a staffed writer. I want to not have to be script coordinating while I'm also writing scripts. And everybody knows this. And that's what I want. I want to write. I want to create shows. I want to write animation, and I want to write. Like, I started trying to write for younger audiences. I wanted to write like preschool and like kindergarten television, and I still do. Because I had such a good relationship with my nieces and nephews growing up and my younger cousins, and now I have a 2.5-year-old that I just keep wanting to entertain and make content for. And that's what I want to do. I just want to write. I just want to be a writer for television. I don't want to write movies. I don't want to write plays.
Unless it's a Great North movie, am I right?
I will do all these things. I will do all this.
I'm willing to come, but I'm willing to come in for that. I'll sit in.
Yeah, okay.
But I want my credit.
But much like those graphs you did earlier, you're probably gonna fuck it up.
Yep.
Fair enough.
I mean, what can you expect? So, and then bring it back to what I know you really want to talk about is I also just want to play D&D as much as I can.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
All about the dice, baby.
Here's the thing. I've played with friends. I have dice. I downloaded an app that would roll the dice for me. I spent $1.99 on it. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
You spent $1 on a dice rolling app? There's like 700 free dice rolling.
I spent $1.99, Jay.
Okay, no, you're right.
I don't know about you, but I have state worker money. I can't be spending $1.99 on dice rolling apps. Okay.
Well, it's cheaper than real dice. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you ain't lying. But before we wrap up here, and again, thank you very much for sitting down with us. We really appreciate that. I didn't know your time was very valuable.
We wanted to do it for so long.
And we will have a follow. Maybe you'll dungeon master. You'll DM something for us if
dude. We should do that.
My guy.
That's actually my idea, but yeah, we'll talk about it.
We've been trying.
We can do that.
We've been trying. I feel like it'd be that Key and Peele skit where they tried to play D&D, but the guy was like, "I want to roll for bitches." It's pretty solid. Yeah,
that is pretty much always how it is. But I've gotten comfortable with it in that you just have to be careful because that the bitch you're gonna roll for just might fight you.
Not if I roll a D20.
Nailed
right?
it.
Yeah, crit roll. Good job,
Depends on what
Mike.
you roll,
Crit
but
roll.
yeah.
All right, calm down, guys. Jesus Christ.
He knows the thing.
Identity. Is there any shows or anything you think should be getting more love? Like people should know about it. It doesn't have to be animation. It could be a book. It could be your neighbor next door.
I don't think there is nothing I watch that is not getting the love it deserves because I am very surface level mainstream. I am loving The Rehearsal right now. It's insane. Rehearsal season 2.
I can't watch it.
Yeah,
love it.
I think that's fair.
It hurts my chest.
The second season is really, really a test. And I have been playing a lot of video games. I'm really, you know what? Follow me on Twitch because when I have time, I Twitch playing Balatro, which is the best game ever made.
Oh, my wife was telling me it's that card game, right?
It's so much more, Mike.
No, it's the little card game, right?
It's so much more.
It is so freaking good. And then also Blueprints I just played is also a really incredible puzzle game.
That's the one I think Simon was talking about.
I definitely was the thing.
There were the home changes and you have to find your way through. Yeah, he posted about it.
It's an incredible puzzle game.
Yeah, but have you done Power Wash Simulator?
No, but I bet it'd be awesome.
Mike pushes it a lot.
It is. They just released a Wallace and Gromit DLC. It's pretty dope.
That does sound fun.
Yeah. It's just power washing. That's all it is.
The only other thing I would say besides follow me on Twitch is our time is limited here. I did another podcast that's really great called Frankincense Media. and I can give you guys a link to share.
Mhm.
But I did an episode with them where I walked through the whole writing an episode to air process.
Oh,
It's
that'd
like
be a great.
Oh, that's
yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
we
yeah.
like that.
So I will send that to you because I am sure, for the same reason that I did it on this podcast, is there's probably a lot of people in this audience that are interested in knowing that process, because when I was looking for the work, I couldn't get any intel until I got in the room. So
that's kind of the downside of what we do here is we cast such a wide net. We want to talk about so much that we kind of miss out on talking about like the finer things. Because like writing from A to Z is a process in of itself that we'd love to touch, but we just try to cast such a wide net. So
yeah. And then, well, it's a, not to toot my own horn, but it's a fantastic episode.
Toot.
So toot. And
Jay was brave that day.
He was very, very brave.
Brave, no fortune involved.
Brave little Jay.
To everyone in the audience, I know you already are, but please watch The Great North. We are so on the bubble. We are on a bubble floating to the top of the little thing in Willy Wonka where he's like going towards the fan. Like, watch
the fizzy lifting drink.
Guys,
yeah,
that's a professional writer right there. That's a professional writer right there.
Yeah, I also wrote Willy Wonka. Roald Dahl, who? Nah.
If you rearrange those, it spells Jay Kasten.
It does.
Watch the show, tell your friends, stream it, watch it everywhere. You think the season so far has been good? Believe it or not, it gets even better than episode 11. It just keeps going.
It does return May 29th, which kicks off the Thursday animation domination lineup. How many episodes are you guys anticipating for this season? I know you don't do the scheduling, but are you looking for a full 22?
Yeah, I think that's what we have.
Okay, so we're about halfway at this point.
Yes, we're quite literally halfway. And the premiere episode of this season is one of my favorites, and the finale episode of this season is also one of my favorites. So not to be like clickbaity, watch until the end, but
we'll do that for you. Don't worry about it.
It gets better and better and better, and it really the finale is really something special again. So keep watching.
Well, Jay, once again, thank you so much. Hopefully we get to run into each other again in a month and a half in San Diego. That'd be really cool. But on behalf of JB and myself, this has been From the Great North to Wonder Wharf, your unofficial but verified one-stop destination for bento box information. As always, I'm Mike.
And I'm JB.
And
I'm Jay.
And we will see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.
See you guys.